This meeting is being recorded.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Partlow Art. This week marks the launch of a new series. Actually, it's an old series that's being revived. About 5 years ago, I took on the challenge of making a new piece of book art every week for 52 weeks. And I've decided to revive that challenge, only to expand it out a bit and to challenge myself to make a new work of art every week for the next 52 weeks. And this is inspired by so many people enjoyed that series, especially not just the work, but me sharing my process. And what's different here is that with that initial series, I wrote about it as a blog. We're doing a vlog, video blog thing. And I am so happy. My girlfriend, Jaki-Terry, is here. I invited her to do this with me. Not only because I've been knowing Jackie now 62 years. What? 62 years. I just celebrated my 67th birthday. Jackie will do hers in August. How many of you out there can say that you have a friend in your life for over 62 that goes back to kindergarten, 62 years? She is my artistic hero. She is just a genius artist, writer, performer, visionary. She's all that. She is all that. Constant inspiration over the years. We've done a lot of things together. She's like, she needed me, right? She didn't. But to share space with her and creative space that's public facing, and especially from behind the cameras and all of that in the stage, because that's where our real life takes place. You know, the stuff that we do that you all see that shows up as plays and concerts, that's one thing, but we're living the other 95% of our lives, you know, behind all of that, in our homes where the real work occurs, in our dreams and our sleep. So I'm so grateful and so happy that my friend is taking time to do this. And for those of you, Jackie is large in the world. She's international, but for those of you who may not even know who she is, I'm so happy to share my friend with you. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna just flow with it. This is the first one. Don't y'all be dinging us on technical stuff and all, because this is our first one. And we're gonna do it every week. We're gonna post every week. At the end of our conversation each week, I'll post a new piece of work that I have been working on and just talk a little bit about that. So, and we'll evolve this as it goes along. We might from time to time invite some other people to come join us. We'll see. And just before we get started with the conversation, make sure to subscribe. Partlow Art, we're working our way up to our first 100 subscribers. I think it's like about 30 now. So help us get to the first 100, and then we'll work on the next 1,000 and the 10,000. But for right now, please subscribe below, click that notification bell, give us a thumbs up, and leave us a comment. Definitely, you're gonna probably want to leave some comments with this particular post after Jackie talks, especially. All right, I've said enough. So I'm going to shut up. I'm going to do something where Jackie appears as the speaker on the screen, and I'm going to let her talk about herself and one particular process of her amazing just body of work, and a piece of work in particular. Take it on, Jackie.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me. I think one of the things we discussed had to do with my graduate school journey and kabuki in particular. Let me start off to say that I did give all props and praises to my sensei, Professor David Foromoto of the University of Wisconsin Theater and Drama Department. He was, for me, very necessary and a very important part of my growth. When you're in grad school, there are three components that they focus on primarily. One absolutely is speech and diction. The other one is scene study, and the third one is movement. Well, for my first year, my movement involved my whole first year of grad school, I partook in kabuki training. And for me, I found it very, very grounding because it's grounded in very ancient traditions. It had a very Taoist feel for me, in the fact that the whole movement is about direction and circles and completion and grounding. And grounding becomes very important as a part of your process. So the picture you see here was one of the finished products that we did my first year. Um, this lady is named Lady Tamoy, and the name of the piece was called The Zen Substitute. It was a two-part series that we did. This being the opening for another piece, Naragami, The Thunder of the Mountain. And it was very important for me stepping into another culture to ask a lot of questions, because the issue of cultural appropriation definitely comes up. It did for me as part of the process, but they were not casting for any other roles that semester. So all that was left for me to perform in as an actor was this particular piece. And Sensei took it on. It was a challenge for both of us.
So wait a minute. So had you not taken it on, then you would not have been in that production for that semester?
Had I not taken that on, I would have had to leave school.
So giving big props to Sensei for recognizing you.
Absolutely. And being able to have honest conversations about not just the differences in our culture, but what came up a lot was the similarities in culture. Once we got to sit down and individually unpack all of that. Part of what prepared me for that was, in addition to having my master's degree in theater and drama, my master's degree also includes a curriculum called Theater for Cultural and Social Awareness. So because I was already being trained in that discipline as well, Sensei and I were able to have honest dialogue about culture and about the similarities and differences in culture. To that end, I was able to sincerely share with him how important it was to me to not make a caricature of this character, and to not misrepresent Japanese culture in particular, as I wouldn't want it done to me as an African living in America. So the dialogue also went further. It's like, well, okay, you're a very special Black person in the fact that you represent an international kind of flavor. And to be frank, Jackie, I don't know anything about dreadlocks or Rastafarian culture. Although I wasn't practicing Rastafari, it raised the question. So as a result, him and I had some real honest conversations about how to present this character. So I wanted to stay as close to tradition when it came to presenting her, so as to not disrespect anything about how I was going to present. The challenge me already being Black in the first place. So as a result, it was a lot of different parts. The dialogue had to be delivered in such a way. And if you did your research on Kabuki and Kabuki theater in particular, and no theater in particular, Asian theater is very dramatic. A lot of highs, a lot of lows, a lot of sound effects, and a very particular way in which you move around and across the stage. So all that was part of the training. The final result was when I went to present and we had opening night, I walked out on stage to do my role, and the entire house was full of Asian-oriented folk.
Oh my
So now for me, the pressure was on, because I'm like, dear God, let me represent this culture to the best of my ability. So and the audiences continued to be that way for the entire run. So one of the things that will get me in head for it is it was part of that performance included a fan dance. And because they do a lot of stuff with fans. So every day before the show, when we would walk the set, I would always ask Sensei to come out and get his fans and dance with me so that I could get the steps into my muscle memory. So it was very humbling that when the show completed and we all had to come out and take our bows, that everybody in the audience got up and bowed. There was applause, of course, but there was also a lot of deep, deep bows, which signifies respect. So I knew I had hit it when, instead of getting the disdain from the audience, I was received.
That must have felt so well.
It did. It did.
You know, and I
Go
just
ahead.
just real quickly, as Jackie is talking, if you have any comments or questions, we decided that this is going to be part one of this conversation about Jackie's experience doing kabuki theater. And so we're going to come back next week because we have some other photos that we want to share and to continue this conversation. Yeah, but that must have been an extraordinary feeling to step into, especially somebody else's culture, not having experience of it prior, and to immerse yourself that so deeply that you become one, and then that gets mirrored in the way people of that culture see you and view you with their gratitude.
It was humbling. It was humbling. So, and it was twofold because I knew not only did I hit it, but I also knew that my challenges were going to get greater going into my second and third year of grad school.
Okay, sorry about that. There was a little delay. I'm trying to do something. As I told you, I don't ding us for the technical stuff. I'm trying to figure out how to turn off my alarm. Okay, here I'm back. I'm present. So you were saying about going into your second year, how that prepared you? How so?
Because it was going to be, excuse me?
In terms of your process and how you enter a character, how did that inform the work that you would do later, playing kabuki theater?
A lot of it had to do with paying attention in class.
Ooh.
And being very, very present and aware of Sensei's approach to the craft, and being actually an absolute study of the culture, the food, the social mores, the different communities and how they're viewed. A lot of physicality, a lot of how to walk into that physical being itself, and they're very class and gender specific on how different aspects of the community present themselves and how they're presented on stage. So it meant a lot personally to just observe him. And he was such a gentle but powerful presence and paying attention to who was paying attention. So for me, it was the whole, how he would walk into a room ready to present the class, something as simple as a tilt of a head or a mie, a point of the toe, or how he would fan out and just get into position to do a dance. So for me, it was the whole taking in of the whole visual from head to toe and being able to stand in the presence of that. And it's like, okay, you show me what to do and let me show you I can do it. And he would fine tune and correct. And for me, it was always keeping my posture low and grounded. So I was constantly hearing koshi, 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 bend your knees, bend your knees, bend your knees. And
Mm.
It was a way of getting me in it, grounded, centered, especially the dance part, because it was making sure I understood my directions, my circles, how that dance was supposed to present. So I've always found myself really attuned to him and tuning out all the other distractions that were going on around me.
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
So in very many respects, I felt like he felt I was worthy of the role. And what the also honor was is because there's no demarcation line between what is considered a male or female role. This was a role he played. He played the role that I ended up playing, Lady Tamoy.
Wow. Wow.
And I got a chance to see him do it on film. So he would show film in class. And then I would go to his office, which happened to be across the hall from mine. And I would ask for additional stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And because I took an interest, he took an interest in me as a student. What was beautiful about our exchange is when it came time for him to do a Derek Alcott piece, and he did not know enough about Haitian voodoo culture. I happened to have that information. So it was an honor, it was an exchange of it became a real cultural exchange between the worlds.
Mm-hmm.
And what we both concluded at the end of the day is when we get out of our way when it comes to certain aspects of colonialism,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we're more alike than what we are different.
Yeah.
So that
Because,
was the takeaway.
for artists and theater artists in particular who are listening, what I'm taking from what you're sharing and what you're teaching, Jackie, is that it's not enough when you're taking on roles and that call for you to show up authentically as that character, and that character happens to be someone of another ethnic or religious or even um, um, gender difference in yours. It's not enough to know the lines. It's not enough to be good as an actor, to really fully embody and presence that character. You got to do some work. And the work sounds like it was 24/7. You just
It
don't
was.
rush it in some way when you're really immersing yourself into another person or allowing that person, that character to come into you. It just doesn't happen when you are in rehearsal.
Mm.
And yeah, and so we get to really be with other people, to learn that culture, to spend time with them. Like you said, the way they speak, the rhythm of it, everything, the food. I'm a foodie, so that's one of the first things when I'm learning about other people's cultures and going into another country. It's the first thing I want to do is food, because that informs me about a lot about a particular culture. Yeah, what a tremendous masterclass lesson that is. This is part one. This is part one. So you like this? Come on back next week. We will post. The post will most likely be up on Sunday evening, EST, Eastern Time. I'm here in Maryland. Jackie is in Arizona. So just to give you some time zone stuff. What else? What else? This has been really cool. Thank you. We'll be back. My first piece of work. Let me do this, and I'm going to switch these views. I don't know if you can see this. So a part of my process is that I live with all kinds of stuff. People give me all kinds of stuff. Everything, the mesh on the bag of lemons that I cut open today, everything. And this is a piece of metallic in the background. It's just metallic, like board. What is that? Like just cardstock I've had for over a year. Didn't know what it was going to be, but I kept it. It came up. I'm going to put this closer. And this, I started this, but as Jackie was talking, I finished it and it evolved. The thing about my process is I try not to be attached to the outcome. I try not to inform what it's going to be, and let the materials and the process and the muses that are present to be really present, to get out of that way and allow what's coming forward. And when I started this earlier this week as the first piece in this 52-week challenge, it was inspired by something one of my friends, Andrew Simone of Artists You said about artists being the center of the world. How we're made to feel like we are over here and over here when it comes to funding, when it comes to being a part of institutional processes and programs, academic programs, that the program is centered and the people running, the artists, we kind of over there. But what Andrew invited me to see was that we're always in the center. We're in the center. And, in looking for photos to accompany Jackie's talk about her experience doing kabuki theater, I went on the University of Vermont, not Vermont, that's my school, Wisconsin-Madison, University of Wisconsin-Madison, to look for photos of her, and I couldn't find any, which, raises the question about our role in, as students, particularly when you get to the master's level, the MFA level, even the doctoral level. Those of us who are artists working in all disciplines, the importance of centering ourselves and being a part of saying how our work is represented in those institutions, in the academy, in the world, when it comes to fundraising and funding. We need to be in the center of informing policies, national policies from the NEA on down, how we are funded for what we do. There's so much work that we do. I'm telling y'all, the stuff y'all see in the world exhibits, it's like 5% of it. We're living 95% of our lives as artists behind the scenes. Right, we're the center. We're the center of the world when it comes to our work. So, yeah, this is wire copper, energy conductors. Wires, energy conductors. These are little glass. I don't know if you could see it because of the reflection. Little crystal teardrops. That motif, that's becoming a symbol in some of my work that is emerging this year. Yeah. So there it is, the first piece, the first conversation. Once again, thank you all for tuning in, listening to us. Come back next week. We'll notify everyone. In the meantime, once again, please subscribe. We want to get up to our first 100 subscribers, and leave comments. Please leave any questions you have about kabuki theater that you want to address, that you want Jackie to address next week, and give us a thumbs up. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Always, always, my dear. Thank you for having us. Bye. Till next time.